Hi everyone, Simon Keeling here, Monday the 25th of February. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Only 3 more days of winter to go. Hooray, I hear you cry. Unfortunately, it's going to be staying quite cool into the beginning part of March. Sorry about that, but you know what they say, don't blame the messenger. But thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Don't forget, we're kept free of charge by the adverts you see around the screen here, and by you telling your friends, by coming back, using the adverts, using the site, using the charts. That's what keeps us free of charge. You can follow us on Twitter at Weather School, or do a Facebook search as well for Weather School. So thank you for telling everybody about us. So if you haven't told everybody about us yet, get out there and tell them. Our stats are growing month on month, and it's all down to you, so thank you for doing that. Major update day for our clients today in terms of the longer range forecast for private clients. We go out for a month and further ahead, but Monday's our major update day. Of course, you can find out more about becoming a private client. Just get in touch and we'll tell you more. In terms of what we're going to be looking at and what we're going to be telling those private clients, well, sun is very quiet at the moment. This is the chart from Solon.info, and this here is the period around about the early part of January. You see how we had quite a bit of activity there during the first week of January, but since then it's fallen off. It's this black line I want you to follow here. Notice how that's pretty flat through this period, so very little activity. That's the solar flux, 10.7 solar flux coming in from the sun. You can see how it's quietened down there. Just nothing going on at all really as far as the sun's concerned. Now during last week, these were the temperature anomalies that we saw across Europe. You can see the UK through central parts of Europe down to northern Italy, across into southern parts of Scandinavia. All this area here had a cold week. Temperatures were typically 1 to 3 degrees Celsius below normal, although through the central parts of Europe, look, we were 3 to 5 degrees Celsius below normal. This is the week ending Saturday, by the way. Milder down towards the south, and the mildest conditions reserved across Romania, Bulgaria, running up into the western parts of Russia, and also there as well. Look, you can see how mild it's been across Finland as the jet stream has kind of travelled over the top and pumped some warm air in there. In terms of precipitation for the last week, again ending Saturday, you can see the brown colours here indicating where it was largely dry. Much of Central Europe, the UK, southern parts of Scandinavia, well, much of Europe really is dry, although these more eastern areas of Central Europe saw 10 to 25 millimetres of rain, but the wettest of the weather reserved for down here, southwestern parts of Spain, Portugal. Here we saw sort of 25 to 50 millimetres plus of rainfall, and also it was wet as well down these western coast of the Adriatic, running down into Greece and the western parts of Turkey too. So there is rain around, but it's just that the jet stream is flowing through here, and so it's nudged all of our rain southwards, hence the reason why we've seen so little. Now, in terms of the next few days, this is how things shape up. Let me make my ugly mug a little bit smaller there. This is how things shape up. This is the chart from today. We've got high pressure centred up towards the north at the moment. We've got this northeasterly flow, and that's bringing these outbreaks of rain and drizzle across much of central and the eastern parts of England. And really very little changes overnight and into tomorrow. Still stick with that northeasterly flow, still got high pressure, still in control of conditions. So I think we are going to be finding this sort of pattern of cloud and some drizzle across the south through the beginning parts of this week, and in fact that's taken us through there, look, till Wednesday and Thursday. High pressure though hanging around towards the north, increasing risk of fog patches, but generally dry across the northern areas. Bits and pieces rain perhaps from northern parts of Scotland, and even into the beginning of March. Look, here's the high pressure. This is Saturday. See that northeasterly flow is still there, so I think still southern counties of England probably seeing some cloud and some drizzly bits, but further north staying dry, although fog patches. But once they clear, it'll be dry days, light winds and some sunny spells. Just something maybe of interest as well I need to point out to you too, which I didn't, is notice the isobars quite close together here. This is where are we? That's let's get back to today. There's today, look, quite a breeze blown across southeastern areas eventually, and again for tomorrow and again for Wednesday too, but much lighter winds further north and into the weekend. That was where we were, weren't we? This is the chart for midday Saturday. High pressure in here. I think the risk of some fog across England, Wales, much of Ireland, but this front here across Scotland is heading its way southeastwards. The tendency for that will be to bring some colder air, but the colder air is kind of blocked into here. It's all headed down this way, so what it's going to do is just clip this northeastern corner of Scotland, perhaps northeast England, and then disappear off into the North Sea, with high pressure then dominating once again. This is how the ensemble sees it. So this was 3rd of March where we just saw up to. The green bars here along the bottom showing us rainfall. You can see how little there is and how we stay in these dry conditions. Although notice that we see a rising temperature, slow rising temperature next week, but as that happens, we see the threat of some outbreaks of rain. Now this is the chart for London, and I think the south of the country will be seeing those periods of rain coming through. I think this is probably overplayed for Glasgow. This is showing some outbreaks of rain coming in around the middle to the end part of next week. I think that's overplayed. I think with high pressure dominating, probably most places are going to be drier, although the south is going to be seeing these outbreaks of rain. Difficulty really is in deciding what happens after about the 6th or the 7th, because we're getting little guidance coming in from the models at the moment as to how things dominate. I tend to think high pressure still dominates across Scotland and northern England, bringing dry weather, but to the south I think we could see some outbreaks of rain. Getting very little help from the MJO either. This is from the NCEP MJO, and you can see here these green colours. This is the forecast forecast MJO. You see it going into the centre circle here? That basically means you can't take any steerage from it at all, because it isn't really in a phase. This is the longer range outlook from the ECMWF, taking us through to the 25th of March. So this period here, these black dots here, represent right at the end of this period. But again, you can see, look, we're in this centre circle, so you can take very little guidance from it. So what you have to do is to look at other indexes, and one of those is the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation Index, which for the next 14 days kind of stays this blue line here, just in weekly negative territory. The Arctic Oscillation, very similar in that it stays negative, but it goes more strongly negative, and what that indicates is that cold air can get down from the pole, and with the NAO weekly negative, it means that the winds across the Atlantic coming into the UK from the west aren't quite so strong, so that cold air can get south. So it's all pointing towards these cooler conditions continuing. Incidentally, you can monitor the NAO and the North Atlantic Oscillation yourself. Go to the weather website, click on charts, and then down the left hand side here under GFS Ensemble you'll see NAO and Arctic Oscillation. Click on those and they update frequently through the day as well. So little guidance coming in, apart from saying cool and generally on the dry side, although probably not completely so across the far south of the country. So what does the CFS say? Well, the CFS again you can get by going to the site, go to the charts, click on CFS, and then you get these all these options come up before you. This is the surfaced maximum and minimum temperatures for Birmingham, taking us through to early April. Private clients see these going through for the next 6 months now. Of course, you have to treat it with a little bit of a pinch of salt, but they're still quite interesting to watch and monitor what goes on day to day. And CFS has been quite consistent in keeping this early part of March look fairly cool. The reds there showing us the maximum temperature, so it's been quite consistent early part of March, keeping things fairly cool. But then we see this rise in temperatures look towards the end of the month, so we're going up from mean daily maxes probably somewhere around about the 8 degrees Celsius mark, perhaps getting up to 14 or 15 degrees Celsius by the end of the month, although you notice it doesn't last long. I think generally this pattern that we're in of high pressure north, low pressure south looks as if it is set to continue for some time. What I'm going to do today is some work on the analogies as well, and just try and pick out some other years and see where that takes us to. But I think we are stuck into these cool conditions really right the way through this this first 2/3 of March, probably looking right towards the end of the month before things start to warm up. But overall the impression to take from it is not much rain around, really not much going on, quite boring overall really, and I have to say it makes our business incredibly quiet. But anyway, thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Hopefully that was useful for you. Don't forget, you keep the site free of charge by coming back and using the adverts and using the site. That's what keeps us free of charge. You can follow us on Twitter at Weather School, tell your friends about us, and thanks for watching, and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.